Your work regarding the environmental legacy of communism is particularly interesting. Do you see a difference in attitudes towards agroforestry efforts between countries with a communist background and those without?
I would say the differences are far less than one could imagine. Irrespective of whether the capitalism was directed by the state, as in communist countries, or it was directed, or the allocation of capital was directed by private actors, as in capitalist countries, what you find is that everybody fell prey to the mirage of modernity, especially after the Second World War, and failed to realize that ecosystem services are pretty powerful and free of charge and provide you with positive externalities, and instead went hook, line and sinker for fertilizers and pesticides and improved seeds and mechanization and diesel and irrigation and all these wonderful tools. Now, don't get me wrong, these tools work, and there's a reason why farmers around the world want them and adapt them as rapidly as they do. The downside of them, and I think we can all agree, that the negative externalities of this kind of petrochemical farming, as I like to call it, are becoming extremely obvious, extremely dangerous, and that we have a wider and wider community of farmers, ranchers and foresters who are beginning to recognize that they have to reintegrate agroecological knowledge into their management practices. I would qualify, they are not opposed to agroforestry, they just don't see an interest by themselves. And since he who pays the piper calls the tune, and since most agricultural advisory services around the world are privatized, farmers tend to hear a lot more about petrochemical solutions to their problems than about agroecological solutions to their problems. From the perspective of a farmer, these solutions are also seductive because they are relatively simple to put at work. To caricature, you buy the bag, you read what it says on the bag, you do what it says on the bag, and you get your result. Whereas agroforestry, just like permaculture or holistic grazing management, is a suite of interventions based very much on management. It's a suite of intervention that demands that you think about what you do and that you then decide to do it and experiment as you go on. You're not going to get it right from the very beginning. So it's harder to put in place, but the results over time are going to be way more promising and way more productive. When people hit rock bottom, when they are in environments like the northern Sahel, for example, in Mali or in Niger or in Chad, and farming just doesn't work unless you have a lot of capital to dig wells to do irrigation, then you will have no choice. You will go back to the trees because the trees provide you with the distributed shade, with the water buffering, with the erosion control, with additional fertility, with pest management, etc., which are more industrial farmer, if you like, would buy on the open market. So smallholder farmers, once they see it working in their neighbors, very rapidly copy it. And you see that through this process of social diffusion, you have smallholders, especially in these more remote, very tough areas where people are always operating almost at the edge of starvation. You find that agroforestry spreads relatively quickly. In environments in which farmers are a little bit richer, it's a generational issue. The old-timers will recognize their home gardens, and you have wonderful examples of those in the humid tropics, across the humid tropics, and will maintain them simply because they're highly productive. Younger farmers will want to, in effect, become application-based farmers. They will want to have things that work through phones, so on computers and drones and automatic GPS-controlled tractors and all the wonderful toys of technology is what they will be interested in. And you see that dichotomy probably most clearly in Nigeria, which has vast areas of the north which are in desperate need of agroforestry, which has thriving home gardens in the more humid parts of the south, but which also has, especially in the big cities like Lagos, a thriving community of technology-focused young farmers and young investors, many of them educated in the West, who are trying to revolutionize farming using the tools of modern technology. One word is discovery. Okay. And discovery of the science and the wonderful work that's being done, but also discovery of the new upcoming scientists, the students who are going to be influencing the field for decades in the future.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Welcome.